couldn't complete some of their drives. So I wasn't that upset with Coach Payton and Pete Carmichael's play calling, except for that one play. In terms of special teams coach, like I said, they just need to continue to work with Will and make sure, his kickoffs and getting his foot planted correctly, because that led to a field goal. And then he had one that was ricocheted or blocked a little bit but made it through. So they got to continue to work in that area. So for special teams, like I said, I gave the grade to special teams. Orsted is outstanding, but I gave them a B-. It was not a bad game. It was just that the offense lost the game. That was the hurting point. The strength of the team lost the game with the 2 turnovers. You can't have 2 turnovers in a pick six. The Saints did not play horrible. They just made mistakes that just put them in a hole, 21-7. And then when they had a chance to get back in the game to make it 24-20 in the last drive, it just didn't work out for them. So it was not a horrible game, but they lost the game because of the 2 turnovers and the penalties. So overall, you have to, look at that as a factor, and that's why I brought the overall coaching grade down to B-. Because you can't win games with 9 to 10 penalties every week. You're just not going to win. That's going to sustain drives. That's going to cost you drives. And they should have been prepared to play in a high-volume stadium such as Arrowhead. So that was kind of my grades for those final areas. So, Grant, you got about 15 minutes, BB. And, Kyle, let's talk about this upcoming game with the Seattle Seahawks. And, BB, what are your thoughts on what are the keys for the New Orleans Saints to win this game?
There's a lot of them. I think the one thing that you can take away as a positive before even going into some of them, Cam Chancellor's not going to play. You have Russell Wilson's banged up. Christine Michaels having to play for Thomas Rawls, even though he's played extremely well throughout the year. So you're playing a team in Seattle that is still a very good team, a team that could compete for the NFC title, but they're a little bit banged up. I think the biggest key is, and you look at the games in the past that we played against Seattle, Drew Brees has really struggled in those games. He's really struggled to put up Drew Brees numbers. So how do you counter that on the offensive side? But you got to open up the pass, you have to run the football. So I think the biggest key is not relying just solely on one back, but showing them a lot of different backs, a lot of different looks, and utilizing about the 20 running backs we have on the roster. We talked about it just there with Marcus Murphy. We have 5 or 6, it seems like 5 or 6 active backs a week. Find a way to utilize all of them. Let Seattle figure it out. Let them make sure and show you that they've done their homework. Show them different looks. Get the ball in space to your backs. And you also, with that, you got to open up something for Drew. The screen game has been absolutely terrible this year. You got to find short dump-offs, whether it's to the back, whether it's to Cooks, whether you're letting Thomas, Snead, whoever, just get the ball to your playmakers in space. I think the Saints just really have to simplify the offensive side of the ball if they want to win this game. That's step one. Step two, Russell Wilson is just a heck of an athlete, but you got to find a way to contain him. You got to make him feel uneasy. He's got that MCL injury. I believe it's a sprained MCL, and he's got this pectoral injury that came up in the news this week. Make him feel uncomfortable early, because with injuries, if you're feeling uncomfortable, you don't feel like you can move and perform as well because of whatever injury, and you feel under pressure, you feel uncomfortable, you're going to make mistakes, especially when you're hurt. So it sounds really easy, but simplify the offense, make Russell Wilson uncomfortable from play one. And I think from there, it doesn't guarantee a win, but it makes it a heck of a lot easier to try to get the W.
All right. And Kyle, your thoughts on how the Saints can win this game against Seahawks? And Jimmy brings up a great point. Drew Brees has not played well against Seattle since that playoff game of 20 at the end of the 20, that wild card round after the 2010 season. He has not looked that great against Seahawks, which goes to my point I was telling Kyle earlier in the show, BB, that Drew Brees struggles against top 5 defenses, and he used to not struggle against anybody's defense, but he struggles against those type of defenses. KT, your thoughts on how the Saints can win this game?
Ball control, Keep the ball away from them. Ball control. Run the ball. You know, they're susceptible to the run. You know, you have to run it right at these guys. If you think you're going to have these sweep plays or running outside, they're too fast. You can't do it. You have to be able to – the way you beat up a bully is, one, you know you're going to get hit by that bully, but you've got to be willing to hit him to make him know that you are there for a fight. And this it has to be one of the times that our offense decides that we're going to be in for a fight. We're going to show up and we're going to ball and brawl. So it's really going to be critical that our Saints hold on to the ball. We've been owning the time of possession pretty well. We're at 30 plus minutes per game. You know, that's half, right? But we're doing a better job than the Seattle offense has. Our defense has to be able to stop these guys. Their rushing game is not that great. Our rushing game is not great, but we're at home, guys. We have the intangibles on our side. This is the first game in three tries against them that we can be able to show up with our fans and be able to get some energy into our guys to be able to win this game. We have the opportunity to do so. So I'm not afraid because Cam Chancellor is going to be out or Michael Bennett's going to be out. I'm more afraid at if we play too timid. We've got to show up. We've got to be stronger. We've got to be ready for a brawl.
Yeah, because Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, and Bobby Wagner and Chris Averill will give you their best shots, as well as that Seattle defense. They are a physical team that is going to give you their best shots. I think the key for the Saints game is my usual points: turnovers. You cannot have the turnovers. You can't have pick six. You can't have fumbles in the red zone. And also key factor in a game like this, Will Lux has to make all of the field goals. I don't look for the Saints to be just going up and down the field. So although they're averaging 35 points a game at home this year, I do not believe they'll be put up 35 points on Sunday against this defense. So therefore, Will Lutz will have a huge factor and a huge role on Sunday. So it's imperative that whatever miscues are going on with the special teams on his kicks, whether he's kicking the ball wrong or whether it's the line miscues, wherever the miscues are occurring on the Saints special teams, it has to get fixed because it's going to be a factor. This could be a very close game in that. And then I agree with you and BB that the Saints have to stick with their running game, because they have to see Seattle has an all-pro secondary. Cam Chancellor won't be there, but those other three guys are really outstanding. So you cannot, have hit balls tapped up in the air and all of these other things. So we got to play smart. We got to play smart, and we got to have a great play calling from Coach Payton, P. Carmichael, and Drew. The three of them have to be on the same page, and we have to execute with the right plays. I agree with BB wholeheartedly. It's time for Coach Payton to become innovative like he was the first 5 years he was with the Saints. I think since he came back from the Bounty Gate suspension, he has not been as innovative or creative like he used to be. In this game here, I think BB brings up a great point. With all those running backs, it's too late now because I'm sure they don't have practice tomorrow, but whatever his game plan, I would find a way to utilize Mark Ingram in my passing game, as I don't think Murphy will be active, but I would have liked to have seen Murphy or find a way to get Lil Tommy Lee Lewis, because those linebackers cannot cover any of those guys. And so I would have some innovative ways to have a high dosage of my running backs involved in my offensive scheme. I think that is an excellent recommendation, BB and Kyle, which y'all said about the running backs, because the Saints have a tendency, and then You can't lose confidence in Mark Ingram because he had one fumble. He's only fumbled the ball one time this year. Yes, it was a bad time to have the fumble, but it's not like Mark Ingram fumbles 10, 15 times a year. No, he doesn't do that. So there's ways in which the Saints can beat this team, and there's now on the defensive side, I think you've got to get some help. Cam Jordan has to show up. Somebody has to help Nick Fairley on that line. Bali, Paul Kruger, Cam Jordan, they've got to have good games in the pass rush. Russell Wilson is not as mobile right now due to the 3 injuries, the ankle, the knee, as well as the pectoral. So he is not as mobile, So that's a plus. Without, Michael Bennett, without, having, all of these players, that gives the Saints a chance. They have to find a way to win this game because that'll give them momentum. Certain things have worked in their favor for the Saints to turn their season around. Because you have the Denver Broncos coming up, they're not going to be with the service of C.J. Anderson, nor do they have a solid quarterback, and the San Francisco 49ers. So you find a way to win this game. Then you have the 49ers. You can come back home and you could be an even 500 team. And with the Falcons playing Green Bay, with the potential for the Falcons to lose that game, you got Tampa Bay. The Saints could be a half a game out of first place if they win this game, with one more game against the Falcons and 2 against Tampa Bay. So the opportunity is there, and it's presenting itself. They just have to find a way to win these close games. So we're going to make some predictions and go out on a limb. I'll start with BB. BB, you have a score, and who wins this game?
I'd like to be optimistic, especially playing at home. Jimmy Graham's return, there's going to be some emotion there. I know Jimmy's going to want to come and ball out in the place that he once called home. And at some points in his career, we thought he would go down as the all-time greatest receiving tight end in NFL history. I'd like to spoil that homecoming. I'd like to believe the Saints are going to spoil that homecoming. It's not going to be a high-scoring game if the Saints want to win this game. So I'll say something like this, 28-27 in favor of the Saints. Missed field goal by Hoshka at the end of the game.
All right, 28-27. BB says the Saints win it by 1 point with a missed field goal by Hoshka for the Seahawks. All right. Al, what's your prediction and score, brother? Now, how do we translate?
I don't know, man. This is going to be a very, very interesting game. I really see the Saints kicking around 3 field goals and at least having 2 touchdowns. So
23 right there.
Yeah, I think it can be around 20-23 Saints. It's
23-20. So once again, a recap. BB says 28-27. This field goal by the Seahawks to win it. Kyle says 23-20. Saints victory. All right. Me, myself, and my prediction, I have no score, but I just don't think the Saints will win this game. Until I see the Saints show me that they can beat a tough defense, I think it will be a close score in the lines of BB or Kyle in the 20s. But I think that what I see happening in this game is interceptions. Drew tackles on too much, and I see Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner, and Earl Thomas getting in the head of the Saints' young receivers and young players because they're veterans. They've been playing together for years now, and I think that experience in that secondary will confuse those young receivers, which will cause Drew to have miscues. Now, my caveat, if the Saints do what BB and Kyle said and use their running backs smartly and wisely, then I think the Saints can win this game. I think the key is the Saints running back. I really do. I think it's the running backs that are the key. I hope I'm wrong, but my gut feeling tells me that the Saints don't pull this one off. I hope I'm wrong, though. Well, guys, folks, we're out of time. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Professor Speaks. I am Derek Craig Stevens, and he is Brendan Boylan. And with Kyle